Hello and welcome to the Stinnett Minute. I am Councilmember Kevin Stinnett. We're located here out in the 6th District at our newest trail here in Lexington called the Brighton East Rail Trail. We recently made some big improvements and additions to the trail, and with me I have Keith Lovan, who is also known as our guru of trails inside Lexington Fed Edward County government, and we're going to take you through the journey through the new Brighton East Rail Trail today and invite you and motivate you to come out here and use our trail. Keith, here we are, sun's out, people are walking up and down the trail using it. Tell us how we got here today, how we acquired the land. Take us back to the beginning and the planning stages, because I know you've been involved in the infancy of our trail system throughout Fayette County, and this has been one of the first trails that we actually started.
Absolutely. Actually, we started working on this project in 1998, believe it or not. It's taken that long to get to this point. But this used to be a railroad line. It was abandoned in 1986, and it was part of a line that went all the way to Ashland. So before all this property was developed, we recognized that this would be a great trail. So we started working with the developers on that first phase. And we were able to acquire an easement for the future trail. And then the properties were developed, and when we got the funding, we got ready to build the trail, all of the property owners that had backed up to the trail were a little concerned about having a trail in their backyard.
Sure.
So that took several years to work with those property owners. Even though we had the easement, there was still a lot of issues, a lot of concerns about it. So we worked with the neighborhood. There was a couple of neighborhood associations, and we started meeting, and we were able to build the trail. And the trail that we're standing on today, actually the property owner donated that property to the LFUCG, and we learned our lesson. We were making the easement a lot wider, so we were able to save the tree line that's on this trail. And so this one is, it's wider. We got more room to do other stuff, and we're real excited about it that it's open.
Yeah, we'll get into those features in a second,
Sure.
but the original trail was a mile long, is that correct?
Yes.
And that is located behind the Andover Forest Homes.
Yeah.
And it runs from Man of War to Pleasant Ridge Park.
Correct.
Okay, now take the viewers at home where we pick up this trail and how far it goes.
Okay. We begin at Pleasant Ridge Park. We go underneath I-75.
Okay.
And then we cross Polo Club, and we end at Walnut Grove Lane. And it's a mile long as well.
Okay, so now we got 2 full miles from Man of War to Walnut Grove Lane.
Right.
Now tell the viewers again of the unique features of this piece of the trail. You mentioned the canopy and
Right.
some other things.
And this is actually we did this trail in concrete.
Okay.
Concrete lasts longer than asphalt, and because of the prices of asphalt and oil and gas, concrete actually is cheaper. So we actually save money by doing it in concrete. And we have a lot of plans. We actually salvaged the historic curves from 4th Street, and we're going to put them out here as benches, and we're also going to add some at each entrance to prevent people from vehicles from coming onto the trail and stuff.
And now how wide is the concrete trail here?
This is 12 foot wide.
Okay,
the original one was 10 foot, just because we had tighter right of way. It didn't have as much room as this one, so this one is just, it feels great because a lot of people can stand side by side, ride bikes.
Sure. Now, yeah, a lot of people think that they're just for running or walking, but you can ride bikes.
Yes.
So we have both pedestrian and bicycle traffic. No motorized traffic though.
Correct.
On the trail.
No motorized. We call it a shared use path because multiple users can use it at the same time.
So on the Brighton Rail Trail, how far eventually is this planned to go? Is it supposed to go all the way to our border in Fayette County?
We've got plans, and we're showing it as a future project. Unfortunately, because this was abandoned in 1986, we were not able to maintain the right-of-way. So if we're going to go to the county line, we're going to have to go to each individual property owner and ask permission to either purchase the right-of-way or ask for an easement. Right now, the property owners are not that interested in having a trail on their property. We hope that attitude changes as they recognize what the good it does for the community and how much people enjoy it.
Yeah, I know you mentioned earlier when we put in the first phase of this trail, it was the homes were there first, the trail went in behind it, and obviously there's a lot of concern out there with safety and having a trail right behind you and all that foot traffic. But talk a little bit about how that mindset has actually changed over the years,
Sure.
given the number of trails now we have throughout Lexington. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, it has helped. Just to actually having them on the ground, people are understanding what we're talking about, and we don't have the attitudes that we had 10 years ago. people recognize what they are, and they want to back up to them. And the developer, property owner here, wanted to make this trail part of her development. She understood the value of these trails, and so that's why she set this right of way up for us to build the trail, because she's going to use it as part of her development.
And you want to mention who that is, so we
sure,
can, so we can thank them as well. So.
Absolutely. Marion Clark is the person responsible for donating this property, and I want to thank her over and over again, because we couldn't have done it without her. So.
Well, just this trail's only been open a couple of weeks now, and just the sheer number of people that have already utilized the trail has been outstanding.
Yes.
And I think it's a huge asset to this part of Lexington, but also to all of Lexington, because as we build these trails, they have to connect somewhere. So speaking of future connections, I know the big question I get asked a lot is, how are we going to get over Man o' War?
Yes.
Because our next piece of the trail, and you can talk about the Hamburg piece, sure, if you'd like, but how do we get over Man o' War?
We've actually applied for a grant to build a bridge over Man o' War, and we got some funding to actually do the design. So we have the design, but there are KU, Kentucky Utilities, has a substation right there where the abandoned rail was. So we've been working with them, and we are proposing to relocate some of those distribution lines and transmission lines. Unfortunately, it costs about $500,000 to do that. So we have actually submitted a grant to do the bridge over Man o' War. We're asking for $2.2 million. And that will take us on the other side, and there's another short abandonment on the other side that connects actually to Liberty Road. And then within Liberty Park, we've already got a mile trail constructed over there. It goes underneath Starshoot. So once we get that bridge with the Liberty Park section and this one, we're going to have 4 to 5 miles of continuous trail, which really is what people are they like that distance, because there's just more area to do things that they like to do. So.
Absolutely, and what we're really talking about here is connecting almost 2,000 to 3,000 homes to the Hamburg shopping area, and never having to get on a major road to get there.
Right.
You can take by foot, by bike,
right.
And that's a big accomplishment for Lexington and for the people that live out here, a big amenity. And for all of Lexington, because there's a lot of people that do come out here and use this trail just because of the sheer length. And getting over Man o' War obviously is the most important piece of all this, and it'll be the first time I think we've done a pedestrian bridge in Fayette County. So we really haven't done a major pedestrian bridge too. So a lot of exciting things to happen. Now the next phase of the Hamburg Trail that'll connect to Man o' War is scheduled, I think, for this spring coming up this year.
Yeah, we want to get. We don't actually have the funding in place. We're waiting on Frankfurt to give us the contract, but our goal is to design it this year. It's about 2,000 feet. The property is still controlled by Kentucky Utilities, so we're hoping that we can negotiate that right away, but have it designed and built by the end of the 2014s.
Good, yeah. So right now, if you want to get across Monroe, you'd obviously cross at Helmsdale traffic light where there's a crosswalk, and then you use hopefully the new trail by the end of next year, and you'll be able to still utilize our trail system.
Right.
Talk about overall Lexington. You know, we put a lot of money. We received a lot of grants here in the city for trails throughout our city. Talk about how many total miles of trails and anything exciting in the future holds. I know Legacy Trails are along this trail right now that goes from the YMCA downtown all the way to the horse park. Talk about the trails over how many miles we have, and anything exciting coming up for the future.
We've got 26 miles of trail in Fayette County. We've gotten all that mileage within the last 10 years. So it's coming along, and now that we're building trails, we're actually connected to other things. What we've also got in the works is council just actually approved some additional funding for the Legacy Trail. So we're working on getting the trail from the YMCA down to the Isaac Murphy Memorial Art Garden, which is at the corner of Midland and 3rd Street. So that funding's in place. I want to start a public participation process at the beginning of next year, and we should be into construction sometime toward the end of 2014.
So there are a lot of things that have happened in the last 10 years. A lot of exciting things to come in Lexington Trail System. I know we're out here. It is November, but people are still utilizing the trail. The sun's out, so the trails are open year-round.
Yes.
They close at dusk.
Correct.
All throughout our community. So any last words you want to say about our trails for the future?
Well, I just want to thank you for being a strong supporter. I mean, we really need council support to be able to do these things, and just hope everybody comes out and enjoys the trails.
Well, so if you're watching at home and you haven't been out on the Brighton East Rail Trail, I invite you to come out. bring the family, bring the dogs, bring the bikes, the rollerblades, whatever it may be that you're into in outdoor activities. Come on out, utilize the trail, and utilize all of our trails throughout Fayette County. It's a big amenity to our city, and it's a growing need throughout our city. And many of you watching today have already experienced the trail system throughout Lexington. So help us promote it, help us keep it moving forward. And Keith, thank you so much for being here today, and thank you, Miriam Clark, for donating this segment of the Brighton East Rail Trail. And hopefully in the future we'll get other cooperation on down the line, no pun intended, to continue with the trail all the way to the Fayette County border, so people can have a nice area to run, walk, and play. Exactly. Thank you again. This is Councilmember Kevin Stinnett. You've been watching the Stinnett Minute.